Time Walk with Me.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Time Walk with me. Today we're taking a second look at my Alaundo the Seer deck. I've played this deck many times and it always becomes difficult to manage and boring for my opponents to wait through my long turns. That's why it rules. I've made some massive changes to it since I last showed it off, so here we go. Alaundo the Seer is, of course, the commander. This guy is a 3/5 legendary human shaman. For 2 generic, a green and a blue mana. That means it takes more than a lightning bolt to take him out, which is always nice. He taps to do a whole lot of stuff. First of all, you draw a card. That's pretty good. That makes him a one-sided Howling Mine. But there's a lot more. Then you exile a card from your hand. It can be any card, but you'll want to pick something with a non-zero mana value because you're going to put a number of time counters on it equal to its mana value. Cards with Suspend deal with time counters, but Alaundo doesn't give your cards Suspend, it only gives time counters. The card you suspend gains an ability that allows you to cast it for free when the last time counter is removed. It's optional, but if you choose not to cast it, it remains in exile. It is important to note that the spell is cast, because this activates cast triggers, and if the spell is a creature, it gains haste until end of turn. And finally, you remove a time counter from every card that you own in exile other than the one you just exiled with this ability. This includes cards that weren't exiled with Alaundo. If the last time counter is removed from something, it gets cast, which is why you should only exile cards with at least 1 mana value. If a card is exiled without any time counters, it will remain in exile for the rest of the game. So during your turn, just by tapping Alaundo, you'll be able to exile something, put time counters on it, and tick every other card you've exiled 1 turn closer to being cast. Imagine if you could use him more than once in a turn. Many of these don't just untap Alaundo, they can also be used to tap things, like my opponent's things. Clever Conjurer. Freed from the Real. This lets me use Alaundo as many times as I have blue mana to untap him. Hidden Strings. With this I can untap Alaundo and perhaps another untapping creature to untap him again. Or I can neutralize up to 2 threats for a while. And after it resolves, I can cipher it onto another creature and cast it whenever that creature attacks. Or whenever it deals combat damage. I think that's how it works. Instill Energy. Iorth of the Healing House. Nature's Chosen. Niblis of the Breath. Patriarch's Seal. Pemin's Aura. Like Freed from the Real, this lets me untap Alaundo over and over for a blue mana each time. It also has some other cool perks like giving him Shroud and pumping up his defense. Prophet of Kruphix. This isn't legal in EDH, but I don't think that it should be, not in this deck anyway. Alaundo already allows me to cast creature spells during another player's turn, so the Prophet's second ability doesn't really help me much. Puppeteer. Puppet Strings. Sarith the Viper's Fang. Seedborn Muse. This turns your opponent's turns into your turn too. It untaps everything, including things that untap Alaundo additional times during a turn. Sting the Glinting Dagger. This card would look a lot cooler if it wasn't for the dopey look on Sam's face, but it's still a great card, untapping Alaundo during each player's untap step. 1000-Year Elixir. Talarian Kraken. This works like Pemin's Aura and Freed from the Real. Whenever you use Alaundo's ability to draw a card, you can pay a generic mana to untap him. And last but not least, maybe kind of least, Vizier of Tumbling Sands. It's good, it's just not as flashy as something like Seedborn Muse. Isochron Scepter / Dramatic Reversal. This combo allows me to untap all my non-land permanents every turn. It can potentially go infinite with one other card in this deck, but it really doesn't need to. The Scepter and Dramatic Reversal are each handy on their own. Aggressive Mammoth. Ancient Brontodon, Annoyed Altasaur, Apex Devastator, Dawnglade Regent, Desolation Twin, Coma Cosmos Serpent, Maelstrom Colossus, Mahometesian, Pathraiser of Ulamog, Terra Stomper, Triplicate Titan, and Ulamog's Crusher. I made some of the biggest cuts to this section, taking out Mana Reflection and Gilded Lotus in favor of simpler fetch cards. Crop Rotation, Cultivate, Explore, Explore the Underdark, Kodama's Reach, Map the Wastes, Nature's Lore, Palladium Mirror, Roiling Regrowth, and Sylvan Scrying. Many of the cuts I made to this deck were to put in more interaction. I didn't take mana cost very much into consideration because Alaundo lets me cast stuff basically for free. Broken Wings, Cleanup Crew, Counterspell, Desert Twister, Emerald Dragon, Introduction to Annihilation, Meteor Golem, Negate, Vidalian Mage, and Wash Away. Abundance. Of course I have to put this in here. Clock Spinning. This helps you control the timing of your exiled spells. Elixir of Immortality. This is another of my favorite cheap cards. It recycles everything so Alaundo can bring it back out again. Heroic Intervention. This is good for wipe and spot removal protection. Ingenuity Engine. Alaundo causes spells to be cast, so Cascade is triggered. Lightning Greaves. More spot removal protection for Alaundo. Mind's Desire. If you time a bunch of spells to go off with Alaundo during one turn, you'll have the mana free to cast this and fill up your board even more. Mishra's Bauble / Urza's Bauble. These are here to be free draws, or basically blank spots in the deck. Shared Summons. You can tutor up whatever 2 creatures you want with Alaundo to put out for free. Winged Coatl. I just think this guy is neat, especially early in the game. Forests and Islands, of course. Command Tower. Crystal Grotto, which is kind of becoming a pet card for me. Litjara Mirror Lake. Lotus Field. This could be good to untap with some of the untappers in the deck for a nice mana boost. Simic Growth Chamber. Same with this one, though it doesn't tap for as much mana as Lotus Field. Simic Guildgate, Temple of Mystery, Thornwood Falls, Thriving Grove. I'd pick blue if I were you. Vine Glimmer Snarl, and Yavimaya Coast. And that is it, my overhauled Alaundo the Seer deck. Give me your thoughts in the thoughts giving section, and I'll catch you next time.